Hi, I'm Brian Eisenhower, and I am here with Ken Smith, Brad Baldwin, and Angela Brown. And we're here to talk to you a little bit today about listing price reductions, some of the techniques and scripts that these top producing agents use to obtain price reductions from their clients when they actually need to reduce their prices. So let's talk a little bit about not so much yet the actual price reduction meeting itself, but how we're preparing for it. What are some things that you guys might want to bring with you to a price reduction meeting? Some things you can get prepared for in advance.
Well, I think one of the things that we talked about a few minutes ago is just the fact that you go into it, hopefully right from the start, being honest with them about the price when you take the listing. So if you're starting there at a price that is set for the market, hopefully you'll be reducing the number of people that you actually have to have these conversations with later as well.
Yeah, that's really it. It actually starts with setting the expectation right up front in the listing appointment. So let's talk about that. You're in the initial listing appointment. What are some things you can do there to prepare them for the potential need to have a price reduction talk later? I'm hearing honesty.
Definitely.
I'm hearing honesty.
Well, and you need good data. And when we go in and we have our listing appointment, the most important thing is to help them understand how you came up with the price and what the market is willing to bear.
Right, and Ken, I know one thing one of the things that you use with that data is you talk about this concept of a magic month.
Absolutely, and in our MLS we have an actual graph that graphs out the magic month, and it shows them how the activity has increased in the first couple of weeks. Third week it starts dropping off, fourth week it pretty much levels off. And in this market today, to me, it's not even a magic month, it's a magic 2 weeks.
Right.
Because you really need to get it moving in the first 2 weeks.
So if we're not getting that activity, we're not getting showings, and we're not seeing offers after the first 2 to 3 to 4 weeks, we might want to be talking about a reduction right away.
Right.
Okay, that's great. That kind of presents, I think any MLS has the reports that show that bell curve. So it's really important to give them that visual, since most people are visual learners. So they see that, so they know time is of the essence, and they actually expect to have that talk a little sooner than later. I think it's key. Good, okay. So we talk about telling the truth, being honest with that price. What are some ways that one might do that? If you can imagine,
I think people want to know why. They don't want you just to come over and say you're priced at this and you need to reduce to this. They want to be shown. So to the fact of the reports and everything, you bring the reports, you talk a little bit about here's how many houses have sold, here's how many houses are listed. Everybody's hearing that the market is booming, which is true. The market is booming and people are selling when their houses are priced right. So if they can see how many houses have sold in their price category, and you start presenting them the evidence that you're using to make that conclusion, you want them to come up with that on their own. So you don't want to be telling them, just do this. You want to be showing them so that they say, I think I need to do this.
Right, and I think if you have a hard time telling them the truth, what they don't want to hear, oftentimes I use a script like on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest do you want me to be with you?
And you know what they say? 11.
11, right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they give you that 11. Now they've given you permission to say something that may not be that receptive, or something that they normally be receptive to. And I know we've talked about in the past, Angela, about how you'll often say, you could find 10 agents. Go ahead. Why don't you say it? It's your script.
Well, I always tell people you can find 10 agents who will list your house for whatever price you want to receive. It doesn't mean you're going to sell it for that. It probably won't even get an offer. So yeah, there's always someone that's going to take the house at whatever price just to get a sign in the yard and hope for the best. So just being honest and letting them know that up front, that this is what the market shows, this is what the stats show, this is why I came to your price.
I love it. Now, one thing I know we want to say, we don't ever use the word price reduction when we're getting to that point and start talking about it. What are some terms you guys use that maybe are a little bit more positive?
Brad's got lots of them.
I like to use price adjustment.
Price adjustment.
Price adjustment.
Okay. Anybody else?
I like price improvement.
Price improvement, I like that too.
I like pricing competitively.
Pricing competitively, okay, all positive ways to look at something. And remember that if you make it negative, then they're going to receive it negatively. So it's very important we come at it from a positive angle on that. Now, let's say that you're setting up this price adjustment. I know, Brad, you have a process you use week by week.
Right.
Quickly, is there a way that you could kind of go through how you actually do that week by week?
Well, you should have a communication with your sellers weekly. I think that's big because you can't call them after 6 weeks and say, "Oh, you need to reduce the price" if they haven't heard from you. You got to.
So you proactively contact them single
every Friday afternoon. We call all of our sellers and all of our pendings.
And so for the first few weeks, you're actually contacting them to tell them about your
so
marketing
the first
activities.
week, I say, this is what we're doing to market your home. We uploaded in the MLS. We took some pictures. We called around your neighborhood. We sent it to all these agents. And that's great. Then the second week, you report back on what you did. You know, this is how many views we're getting on Realtor.com. This is how many website hits we're getting. This is the number of showings we're getting. This is the feedback, and that sort of thing. Week 3, you'll go through and kind of say another thing about what happened that week.
More results,
and then you want to set them up. Say, you know, if something doesn't happen soon, we might need to look at adjusting the price. I'll do some research on it. I'll get back with you next week.
And then week 4 is when you come back and actually set.
Week 4 is when you set up your price adjustment meeting.
Okay, so let's talk about the meeting. That's great. So you're actually setting that expectation from listing appointment all the way through, referring to it positively. Then we get into the meeting. Brad, what do you say when you walk right into that listing reduction or price adjustment?
You know, I say thanks for taking the time to meet with me. This tells me that you're also very concerned that your home is not sold.
Okay, so then at that point, we get into that meeting. And then it's a matter of quickly getting back into their motivation. Are they still, do you still want to move so that you can get to the kids into the Greenville School District or into that 5-bedroom or near your grandparents' home? So we re-identify that motivation right away. Then I think it's key to let them know the stats and the data. So what kind of data do we want to bring into that? What kind of things do we typically bring in?
I like to, go ahead.
Well, my favorite piece of information is the Realtor.com stats.
Okay.
And what that is since we have the enhanced listings on Realtor.com, it shows how many people have had that particular home show up in their search results. And then the next column shows how many have actually clicked through the pictures. And where that really becomes beneficial for us is if you've had 50 or 60 people click through and you still haven't had any showings or very few showings, that's a telltale sign that they're overpriced or not perceiving the value.
So I think that's probably the most important thing you can bring in. I can't imagine a real estate agent not going in without looking at the showings report on their Trulia, Zillow, and or Realtor.com accounts. There's free accounts anyone can sign up for to access those showing reports. If they have an enhanced or premium account with any one of those, you're going to have more detailed reports to actually show that people are seeing it. That's the key. Now you can bring in general MLS data as well too. If you have a showing service in your area that sets up and organizes your showings, you can show those as well. But I think that's the key. You have to make that link that here's my marketing activity and it's working, people are looking at it. You can't help that they're not buying. That's not your deal. So when we get into that listing presentation, then you can flow straight into the old, well, according to normal National Association of Realtors statistics, if you're getting a lot of views, but we're not getting showings, then we know your house is typically priced about 12% too high on average. Similarly, if you're getting a lot of showings but no offers, then we know your house is priced around 6% too high on average. Your stats are what justify the script. Now typically the 12%, the 6% are extremely high. So at that point, any reduction they make won't technically be enough. And their draw is going to drop when you say those numbers. If you've got a $200,000 house and you tell them that their house is 12% too high, that's a $24,000 price reduction. However, if they come halfway, you've typically got yourself a $12,000, $13,000 price reduction, and that's typically something closer to what you need anyway. But the NAR stats don't lie. So by you stating those, you need to evidence that they are getting the views that aren't getting the showings. Otherwise, they're going to be, well, you're not getting the people to look at it. You need to show. Right.
I agree, and I think I like to use the math piece of it too. A lot of times people get focused on, I don't want to reduce my price by $5,000, $10,000, whatever it might be. But a lot of times if you will actually look at their specific numbers and their specific situation, and they say, I'm not in any time rush. Well, by the time you've stayed in that house 10 months and have paid $10,000 in interest to a bank that you're never going to get back, that you may as well have sold it in 6 months and moved on and be putting that money towards your next house versus in this one.
So bring it from a financial motivation. And Brad, you talk about re-tie-in. What's that last script you always talk about based on what the market is telling us?
Basically, what the market is telling us is the market is rejecting our price.
Okay.
You know, based on this, and this, we need to reduce the price by 5% immediately to get you to mention motivation.
Right. So,
wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. So to get you to the new school district, to get you
To
to
get
the
you there, mention it again.
So we cover the financial motivation, their key motivation in selling in the first place. Retie that back in. Continuously mention it throughout.
Right.
Use the stats.
Right.
And the averages to
The motivation is key. The
It
whole thing, because that if their motivation has changed, you might need to pack your stuff up and leave.
Oftentimes,
Because if they don't
forget
have
about it.
if they don't have the motivation or their plans change, then you're kind of wasting your time. You know, the motivation's key because it helps them get more emotionally involved and it doesn't hurt so much.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it.